Good evening everyone. Today I am going to teach you how to make lesson plan for verb. First of all, we have the blackboard entries, which includes the name of the school, the class, the subject, and so on and so forth. Then we have the content analysis. Content analysis usually includes the definition of the topic that we are going to teach today. So because we are going to teach verb, the content analysis includes the definition of the verb, which is a verb is described as a word which is used to indicate an action, a state of being of existence. Then we have the terminology, which includes difficult words that the student might not be able to understand, and we're going to describe those words so that the student have a better understanding of them. These includes the word described, indicate, action and existence, and then we have their meanings. Then we have the main idea of what the verb is, which is a verb tells us what a person or thing does. Then we have the main fact, which is a verb is a doing or saying word. Then we have the objectives. For that, you're going to divide the page into 2 columns. There are 6 objectives: knowledge, understanding, application, skill, aptitude, and interest. The second part of the column is the desirable change. Whatever that needs to be written in this column will be taught you in the class, and you need to just copy that here. Then we have the previous knowledge. Previous knowledge is what the student should already know for their better understanding of the topic that we're going to teach today. So for verb, the students should have general knowledge about noun and pronoun. Then is the teaching method. Teaching method is what the pupil teacher will, the method the pupil teacher will use to teach in the class, which is the inductive, deductive method and questioning. Then we have the teaching aid, which is general classroom equipments, ruler board, real objects and chart. Then is the introduction, which is the sun rises in the east. This is how the student, pupil teacher will start the class. Next up, we have the pupil teacher activity. For that, you're going to divide the page again into 2 parts. The first is the pupil teacher activity column, and the second is column for the student activity. Pupil teacher activity usually includes 4 to 5 questions, where the last question is usually called as a problematic question. These are the questions that the pupil teacher will ask, and these are the answers that the students need to give. So the first question here, for example, is the pupil teacher will write something on blackboard and ask a question, what am I doing? So the students need to answer that you are writing, ma'am. Then we have pupil teacher will ask to a student to laugh and ask other students, what is she doing? So the students will answer as she's laughing. Then again, the pupil teacher will ask another student to read and ask other students, what is she doing? Then the students need to answer, she's reading a book. Then the last question will be writing, laughing, reading. What we call these words? So the student need to answer that they are called as verb. Then the statement of the topic, which is what the answer will be of this question. These are verbs. So today we shall study about them, or the verb. Next, we are going to again divide 2 pages into 5 parts. The first column will be of teaching point, then the pupil teacher activity, then the student activity, teaching aid, and the blackboard work. Teaching point is what we are going to teach. Pupil teacher activity includes whatever the pupil teacher will do, like ask questions, for example. Then student activity includes whatever the answers the students will give to the questions that the pupil teacher will ask. The teaching aid is what the pupil teacher will use to better teach the students, and then the blackboard work, which is what will be written on the blackboard by the pupil teacher. For example, the first is definition of verb. Here the pupil teacher activity includes the pupil teacher will show a chart and ask some questions. These are the questions that the pupil teacher will ask. Then the pupil teacher will say, these words are verbs. Whatever the answer the students give, for example, who is running? So the answer would be Jim and Uma. What is Pillow doing? Sliding. So then the pupil teacher will point to these answers and say that these words are called as verb. Then she'll tell the definition of verb. A verb is a doing or saying word. Next, we have the drill and the practice. Pupil teacher will write some sentences on blackboard and ask some questions and ask students to recognize those verbs in those sentences. So these are the sentences. Children are playing in the park. So here playing is the verb. Then we have the sun is shining. Shining is the verb here. Shikha was crying yesterday. Crying is the verb. Madhu is sleeping. Sleeping here is the verb. Varsha will dance tomorrow. Dance will dance is the verb here. So the words underlined here are the verbs which the student should answer. These are the teaching aid. So the pupil teacher will use these pictures and ask these questions, and then we have the blackboard work where the student teacher will write the definition of the verb on board and then these sentences. Children are playing in the park, the sun is shining. She'll write all these sentences on the blackboard, and then the students need to tell the verb in these sentences. Then the next evaluation is see pictures and make sentences by using verb. So the pupil teacher will draw these pictures and the student need to make a sentence with verb using these pictures. For example, the bird is flying. So flying here would be the verb, and the girl is playing. So playing here would be the verb. Last, we have the home assignment. This is what the pupil teacher will give so that the student can do it at home. The home assignment for this lesson is define the verb and give its 10 examples. So they'll have to write the definition of verb and then give its 10 examples. For example, playing, or they'll have to use it in a sentence. So that is all for today. I hope you liked it. Goodbye.